I think a lot of people are thinking about what the day after the ceasefire looks like. We should. One is we have to hope that Israel maintains its end of the bargain. Two, we have to demand that Israel hold up its end of the bargain by demanding that U.S. I'm talking to Americans right now, that we demand that the U.S. continue to apply pressure, and we as activists continue to apply pressure. If you think the ceasefire ended because Israel got tired, it's because we applied pressure every single day, and we got to continue that. But we also have to understand that an end to the genocide is just the first step. That's just literally stopping the bleeding. The next thing is to call for an end to the occupation, and into the blockade of Gaza, and into the siege of Gaza, and into the occupation of the West Bank, and into the occupation of East Jerusalem. There has to be an end. And then from the end of an occupation, we then have to talk about a free Palestine. What does that look like to have a free, self-supporting, sovereign Palestinian state situated on contiguous land with its own security infrastructure, its own potable water, its own arable land? This is what we need as a global community, because until we as a global community can create that, then we as a global community will always be dealing with this. And more importantly, Palestinians will always be dealing with this. This is the context of our struggle. This is our work. That's right, Bullet the Bunny. The own airport, own military infrastructure, own security apparatuses, own border, controls, etc. Problem is, they're already looking at the West Bank. They're already talking about cutting UNRWA. They're already ignoring international law. Marc Hill said that was all discussed in Oslo. Oslo, that's another conversation for another time, but the Oslo Accords of 1993 did some of that, but it was very much vague and empty promises. It was very much an over-promise and under-deliver situation. It was very much a context where the Palestinians gave and gave and gave, including recognizing Israel in the letters of mutual recognition, and no one recognized a Palestinian state's right to exist in the Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords helped to divide Palestinian land into Bantustans. It didn't divide into a single contiguous land. That's just not true. If you look at post-Oslo, what you see is what? A bunch of pieces of Palestinian land that's not contiguous. That's not how you create the sovereign nation. The Oslo Accords gave security coordination in Area B to Israel. The division of areas A, B, and C did not help advance the cause of Palestinian nationalism. It did not create a context for a true liberation. All they did was build apartheid walls and separation walls and disconnect the Palestinian nation from one another. Oh, I'm sorry. Sherilyn Hill said also there was a meeting, two-state solution yesterday. Forgive me. Typically, when people say Oslo, they mean it as a shorthand for the Oslo Accords. You literally meant in Norway yesterday, like Wednesday. Forgive me. I'm going on and on about the Oslo Accords. My bad, y'all. My bad. Is Israel expecting the Gulf countries to pay? No, Israel is lobbying up the idea that the Gulf countries should pay, banking that they won't. But remember, Israel's goal is to normalize relations with the Gulf countries so that they can continue to have these weapons and defense deals. That's also the United States' goal. That's what the Abraham Accords was about. When they weren't peace deals, U.S. wasn't beefing with Morocco. You know what I'm saying? It was about weapons. It was all about money. All about the money. Gulf countries will pay to invest in Gaza if there's a material stake in it, but that's not the same as helping rebuild Gaza for the purpose of creating, again, a sovereign Palestinian state. So no, I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. Somebody said Ahmed Anau would make for a great guest. His comments in Electronic get the final riveting as always. I will read them, and I will, because I've been underground all day. I'll read them and I'll talk to them and bring them on. Maybe I wish I could have known. I'll bring them on tonight. Bring your Tigrinyas back in the building too. Yeah, I'm seeing all the folks, man. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Mean it. Um, um, let's talk. Let's talk, y'all. What's next for Palestine? It's up to Palestinians, but it's also, so there's the strategic what's up for Palestine. It's not for me to say, but as a political analyst, I'm saying what's next for Palestine. I'm encouraging everyone to not be naive or driven by kind of unmerited optimism. Whatever is going on in Gaza, whatever has been going on in Gaza for 15 months, please do not believe that it's going to get better. Donald Trump has plans for Gaza that are even worse than what's happening right now. Donald Trump, again, supports the annexation of the West Bank. Donald Trump supports cutting UNRWA. And I can only hope that Donald Trump will apply pressure to Netanyahu if they break the ceasefire, but I don't see it happening. I see someone writing, so did Kamala. I'm not sure. Kamala Harris never said that. Kamala Harris didn't support annexing the West Bank. If she did, then I'm mistaken. Show me. Show me. I don't know any U.S. president that supported annexing the West Bank in recent years. I mean, not Democrat or Republican. Trump seems singular in that. And I don't know of any U.S. president that supported cutting UNRWA. If you're saying Kamala Harris supported permanently cutting UNRWA, as Donald Trump advocated in his last presidency, show me where she said that. Again, there's plenty of reasons to criticize Biden and Harris. They were awful. I mean, I don't know if you could be any worse than they were. My point is, as we enter this new phase, there will be new things that will allow for more awful stuff to happen. But let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Trump will be a beacon of light and hope for Gaza. Maybe he'll be the same as his predecessors, or maybe he'll be worse. We'll find out. I think he'll be worse. But if I'm wrong and he's just the same, or even if he were slightly better, that's not a victory. I'm going to just respond to you one more time here. You said Biden and Blinken cut UNRWA. Biden and Blinken cut UNRWA as a temporary measure in response to these ridiculous allegations about UNRWA and October 7th and all this stuff, right? I'm not suggesting, again, this is not a defense of Biden. But Biden made a temporary cut to UNRWA. And if you remember, I think you remember this. If not, you can Google it. UNRWA cuts UNRWA funding was renewed by Biden. Trump cut UNRWA as a permanent policy decision. Trump didn't say let's temporarily cut UNRWA. He said it's done. You're saying, come on, bro, as if I'm being naive, but you do understand that it was temporary. It was reinstated. It was reinstated a few months later. It was temporarily cut. It was cut for a few months. That would be temporary. Again, I don't see the benefit. I'm happy to have this conversation, but I don't see the benefit of debating which warmonger was worse, or, because then it positions me as if I'm defending the Biden administration, and I'm not. I'm simply saying that right now the Biden administration's over and we have a Trump administration entering, and I don't want you all to be lulled into a false sense of security that things are about to get better. That's my point. My point isn't to exculpate Biden or Harris or to even to demonize Trump. It's to say, look, We think things are getting better. They are not. They are not. They are not. They are getting worse. They are going to get worse. If you think they're going to stay the same and not get worse, fine. That still means that we have to maintain our vigilance. We cannot let up off the gas. A ceasefire deal, I don't care who the president is, does not mean that Gaza was rendered unlivable several years before, 3 years before, the, what do you call it? The invasion, the genocide. Gaza was a human rights disaster before. So even if it got a little bit better and it went back to 2020 status, it would still be one of the worst human rights disasters in the world. So let's think about that. That to me is what we should be thinking about. Anyway, that's it on that topic, y'all. Let's move on before we go. I want to talk about a couple of things. I do see a couple of comments I'm going to read. How plausible is it of Palestine existing as a federalist group existing within the same physical space as Israel, as Professor Iris Young articulates in Self-Determination as Non-Domination? The problem with any theory of coexistence is that it presumes, let me take a step back so y'all don't edit me out of context. I support coexistence. I support sharing physical space. I support democracy. The problem is that Israel is a non-democracy. Israel is an ethno state. Israel is an apartheid state, but it's undergirded by an ideology of ethnic supremacy. So when you ask how plausible it is, the answer is that it is not plausible, because Zionism itself, political Zionism, modern political Zionism, the driving ideology behind the state of Israel and the formation of Israel, is driven by a settler colonial logic of expulsion, removal, erasure. They don't want coexistence with Palestinians in any significant way. So I don't think that it's plausible, even if I thought that it could be desirable. Mark, I agree with you. Domestically and foreign, things are going to get worse. BRICS is the new order, and how we will fit or maintain our standing. Spinelli says, thank you. Take care, please. And then breaks down all the different names of Palestine or Palestine across different languages, and I guess it's presumably historical moments. Mazia says, I believe I've heard Matt Miller say they don't agree with the UN. They don't think settlements are illegal. Yeah, fine. They don't think, and you know what? I don't think driving drunk is illegal. I don't think robbing banks is illegal. I mean, so what? This is not a principled legal disagreement. This is not a hermeneutical dispute. You cannot acquire land by force. You cannot just fight people and take their land. It's that simple. Military occupations are supposed to be temporary. This is the longest military occupation in modern history. East Jerusalem has been occupied for 57, 50, going on 58. It'll be 58 years on June 5th. June 5th. That's crazy. Knock it off. I'm not saying knock it off to you. I'm saying to Matt. Thank you for the question.